It's a Saturday afternoon and the Florissant Valley Community College Gymnasium is a beehive of activity. For the last 2 months, teams of grade and middle school students from around the Midwest have been working towards this day of competition. They will not exactly be going head-to-head, but robot to robot. These kids are part of the Lego League. It's an annual national event, and this is the St. Louis Regional. 8 weeks before this day, all the teams found out what this year's game was going to be. And then they set to work with the same components, Lego pieces, motors, gears, and software. This team is from Lebanon, Missouri.
And we have to build a Lego robot with a brain and program it. And we have a little garage for ours.
So you have to program your robot with a computer, and you're not allowed to use a remote control. You have to set up the programs, and there's 5 channels, so you can do 5 different maneuvers with it.
In the competition, the vehicles can be repositioned and re-equipped between tasks, but then you press a command, and it does what it's told, or at least it's supposed to. This is supposed to be heading back to its corner, but often they get stuck, and picking it up will be a deduction, but the Lebanon team is still in the game. The Lego League is just one competition that's put on by the organization called FIRST, which promotes kids' interest in science and technology. And this is kind of the minor leagues of their robot games. This is the big time, the first robotics competition for high school teams. This started back in 1989 with just a couple of dozen teams participating. Now, more than 1,000 compete every year. This was all founded by inventor and entrepreneur Dean Kamen. He's the guy who invented, among other things, the Segway, that 2-wheeled personal vehicle. He thinks too many American kids lose interest in science and technology, and he knows a lot of the kids participating in the high school competition are the science kids, the ones who stayed interested. So he wanted to get kids hooked on this stuff at an earlier age.
3, 2, 1, go!
And thus was born in 1998 the first Lego League. But if you're thinking that the difference between this and this is pretty big, you're right. And Kamen was thinking the same thing. So in 2005, FIRST introduced its mid-sized model. The VEX competition, they call it. It's for high school kids. It's a step up from the Lego machines, but smaller and far less expensive an activity than the big robots.
But we realized we had a gap between the first Lego League students and the first robotics competition. So working with our friends at Radio Shack, we've now built the VEX competition, which fills that middle space.
You talk about that gap. I imagine that's also a time when a lot of kids put away the Legos, put away the erector sets, and they may not ever come back to it.
You have that exactly right. What we are finding is the earlier you can get to the kids as they start to think science and math, it's dry, it's difficult, it's not for me, and their attention as they become young teenagers starts going to the world of entertainment and the world of sports, you got to get them then. And the robotics competition starts a little later than that. So the VEX competition, we're hoping, will keep their attention, get them focused, and create a really, really large pool so that the first robotics competition will continue the kind of incredible growth it's had for the last 15 years.
St. Louis's Gateway Tech had a team in this inaugural VEX competition. It also has been participating the last few years in the big robotics competition. So this is sort of their junior varsity.
And we're getting people from the middle schools coming up to Gateway saying, hey, I want to be on the robotics team. We started recruiting right in August, so.
And now with the fall VEX competition, they can start working on a robot right away. This year, one that could load up rubber balls and drop them in a goal. But most teams were having problems when their robots had to perform in the autonomous mode. No remote controls here, just pre-programmed commands. And a lot of the machines just stopped in their tracks.
We're having some troubles getting the motor values right so that it'll turn and do all this other complicated stuff. But it's starting out right, but we just have to make it finish.
In all three of the first organization's robot competitions, from Lego League on up, it's all about design, construction, and programming. It's also about success and failure, and always going back to the drawing board or the computer screen. And the people who started all this hope at least some of these kids will grow up to be adults who never stop trying to solve the problems.
3, 2,